TNT Evolution. Here we are, TNT Evolution. From the way I started the video and most likely the title, you probably get the vibe that this game is pretty boring. However, is this really true? Well, in order to find that out, we should probably go over what the game actually is. Again, like I said with the Plutonia video, if you're interested in Doom, you've probably heard of TNT Evolution. However, you most likely haven't really played much of it. So, TNT Evolution is one of the two 32 level campaigns that were included with Final Doom, and it was released on the 17th of June, 1996. Unlike Plutonia, TNT was actually worked on by quite a large team of people. And I'm not going to go over all the members here because there's too many to list. The game follows the same kind of structure as Doom 2, just like Plutonia did, with it having text sequences every now and then to break up the gameplay. But of course, again, like Plutonia, I'm sure you genuinely don't care about this. So let's talk about the gameplay itself. TNT Evolution is basically just more Doom 2. All the enemies and weapons are the same as they are in Doom 2 and Plutonia. However, the thing that sets Evolution apart is its level design. TNT Evolution is known for extremely large and detailed levels that have a lot of backtracking and some pretty interesting scenery. In fact, this game does really excel at making the game look cool and feel like an actual place, or at least as much as you can do with the Doom engine. A lot of Doom games, really, you have to kind of use your imagination to picture what it is, but with TNT Evolution, you can kind of tell a bit what the things are supposed to be. Now that we know a general gist of what this game is, it'll most likely help us in trying to figure out whether the game is as boring as people say it is. So let's go over what people say it is. Overall, my understanding of what the Doom community thinks of TNT Evolution is that it's the weaker out of the two campaigns in Final Doom, and in general one of the weakest classic Doom games. It's mostly blamed on the levels being way too big and oftentimes kinda confusing, with keys that are placed very far away from the thing they're actually supposed to be used on, and this leading to the players kinda getting lost on their way back through the gigantic levels. It's also said that this can lead to a lot of time where you're not actually fighting anything in a game that's about fighting stuff. And when you are fighting stuff, a lot of people don't like the rooms that are quite big and full of hit scanners. And in general, most people don't like the usage of enemies in this game. But is this really correct? Let's go over that real quick. So having now played TNT Evolution myself, I will say that the levels are often really large. However, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. Where most of the problems come is the way that things are placed around the level, like the previously mentioned keycards. In general, the levels aren't really that confusing to navigate, it's just the order in which you have to navigate it which makes it confusing. The levels themselves are fine, but when the keycard is put at point B, which is really far away from point A, it's kind of annoying, and it's hard to find your way back to point A. You go through all the trouble of trying to find this keycard, and when you have to use it, you don't know where you're going. There's also been times where I've had keys and doors where I've looked at it and I've been like, how do I get to that key? And there's seemingly no way of getting to the key, which leads me into running around trying to find a way of getting to it and never finding a solution, and therefore getting lost. This is probably the most frustrating thing of all in the game. With the combat, the larger rooms can feel rather awkward, but it depends on which room it is and how the enemies have been placed around it. Because the way that enemies were placed around this game generally is really lacking. Plutonia's enemy placements may have been rather difficult, but at least they were interesting and made the player use their brain. Whereas TNT Evolution feels like a horde of hit scanners that you can blast away with the super shotgun, which is fine for the first few levels, but when it goes on through the whole game it gets kinda boring. Overall, I don't think TNT is nearly as bad as some people like to say it is. However, I do understand the complaints that people have about it, and I also share those views. Just not to the extent that a lot of people do. Because there is fun moments, but for a majority of the game I felt pretty bored and ended up putting YouTube videos on in the background, just to get through the recording process. But if you'd like to learn about the other part of Final Doom, then Plutonia is right here.